Oh my God. 3 weeks. It took me 3 weeks to figure this out. DMA here with a soul-crushing God of War Ragnarok no upgrade run Berserker challenge. Welcome to the 7th video in the series I'm calling the Basic Berserker Blueprints. The power couple of Bodvar and Starolfr are today's topic of discussion, and we are deviating from our list of Berserkers done in order of difficulty, so that we can address a more, let's call it, sensible situation. But first, here are the rules of the no upgrade challenge. No upgrades to Kratos or Freya's weapons, shields, armor, runics, relics, skills, Spartan rage, or anything that requires experience points or expands health and rage bars. No accessories allowed for Kratos or Freya. The Talisman of Mage and Winter's Bite are free to use since they were forced in my arsenal. Dark Odyssey armor pieces and accessories will only be equipped since they have no perks or stat boosting attributes. The Dauntless Shield is the weakest shield and is the only one I will equip. Resurrection Stones are allowed. If anything affects stats and makes the player stronger, it doesn't have a place here, unless it's forced into my arsenal by the game. I guess the first thing I want to stress about this fight is just how difficult it is. It's difficult, and there are surprisingly not a lot of details to go through. Both of the Berserkers don't have a lot of varying attacks, and they do not expand on their attacks when they lose health, unlike several of the previous Berserkers. I will talk about them, but the major shift going into this fight isn't all about learning their attack patterns, but instead will need to adapt in these 3 mechanics. First off, we are not going to use the lock-on functionality. What was once a great asset on the singular Berserkers is now a liability. About 95% of the time, the Berserkers will tag the other end to attack you, while the other Berserker retreats to fight your partner. You can depend on the Berserker calling out the other Berserker's name to prepare for the switch up after they jump up and vanish, but sometimes that doesn't happen. You can expect a stable one-on-one fight for most of your engagements, but like all good heel wrestling tag teams, the one that isn't supposed to be in the spotlight will always try and sneak in the cheap shot when you're not looking. And that's why we cannot entertain the lock-on option anymore. The second point, camera management. Okay, no matter where the other Berserker is, you need to position yourself and your camera to keep visuals on both Berserkers. It's a pain, and it adds an extra layer of complexity to the fight. Yeah, I get it, but this little dialogue mechanic where the Berserker calls out the name of the other Berserker to switch up, or, remember that little cue? Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes all you get is the visual of the other Berserker's red or yellow ring projecting attack of what their intentions are going to be. They don't flash those ring colors to Freya, so that means you'll have maybe half a second to roll or prepare for a parry, trying to figure out what the game plan is. And the last point is a crucial element, and it's a skill you'll need to build for this fight, and that's not keeping your visual focus on the engaged Berserker you're fighting with. The best way I can describe this is to look around the Berserker that you're fighting and not look at the Berserker. Look around the Berserker. This is meant to help you predict when a cheap attack is incoming. Dodging, parrying, sneaking in offense while not keeping your full attention on the engaged Berserker that you're fighting sounds a little tricky, but it's going to be a thing you're going to need for the next couple of Berserker fights. And considering the next ones will involve 3 Berserkers, and another with a Berserker that can summon multiple common enemies, this is the training ground for you to work on your visual habits, since we're dealing with a measly 2 Berserker situation. You don't have to force your visual focus on the middle of the screen, but keep your focus, floating around the area between the 2 Berserkers. There are moments where you can pry your focus away from the engaged Berserker, like when you deliver a shield bash. That gives you a moment to give the other Berserker a quick glance. All these points pretty much run parallel to each other. Keeping enemy lock on off, camera management, keeping an open visual of the battlefield. These are the adjustments we need to make to successfully win this fight. There's the obvious use of the enemy off-screen compass that also plays a significant part of the fight, but those are the adjustments. Now, on to each of the Berserker's attacks. We'll start with Bodvar's ground crawler and the 2-punch combo. Both can be blocked. The punches can be parried. He has 2 ground dash attacks. One is a yellow attack and the other is a red. Standard stuff so far. We know how to deal with those particular attacks, but the rest of his attacks are a little different. He does have the energy explosion, jazz hands in your face attack, but he does this twice in a row instead of just doing one explosion. He can opt to cancel the second explosion by retreating. However, there is the stomp attack. I'll talk about this for a minute. I'm going to have to go into this for a good moment, because he has 2 different stomps, and they're kind of tricky to read. He will lift one of his legs and stomp. It's an attack that can be blocked or parried, but it's actually a lead up to a large area of effect explosion. The shield bash attack ring will pop up, and that's when you need to perform your shield bash to knock him out of that charging animation. But there is a second version that is incredibly difficult to read, and that's the dash and stomp variable. I can't tell you how quick that attack is. I've been killed by that attack, by that one dash and stomp attack, so many times. It's the one attack that I would fall to in more than half of the deaths that I've experienced in this particular fight. He doesn't do it in this video, but he does it in the opening of the video where I do the death reel. The best advice I can give to deal with the dash and stop attack is to keep the block button held when Bodvar is actively engaged with you, but he's not within striking distance. If he's across the field, like when he's doing his ground crawler attack, keep the block button down just in case he does the dash and stomp. Personally, it was a difficult habit for me to pick up, but patience is essential in this fight. It's a quick attack, and a cheap one at that. Know when you should hold the block button, just in case. For the other Berserker, Starolfr, her attacks are a little easier to manage. She has a single yellow slash attack, a slow 2 slash attack, the last hit being a yellow attack, the quick 4 slash combo, where the first one is the yellow attack and the last one is the red attack, and she also has a red leaping attack. These are all part of the usual Berserker attacks, but she has a unique attack, and that's the aerial fan energy attack. She will jump in the air, float for a bit, and motion an upward sweep energy attack. The best, and really the only way to deal with this, is to face towards her and block the attack. If your back is turned towards her and she uses that attack, it'll clip you and you'll die. So keep that in mind when Bodvar is trying to lock you in a certain position when Starolfr sends that attack out. Now, there have been several occasions where I would beat one of the Berserkers and reduce the workload by half. I don't know if the double Dricky fight has created some sort of trauma on my part, but I could swear there was some sort of augmentation with the surviving Berserker when I fought these singular Berserkers in this fight. Maybe not, given how the ending of this fight turned out, maybe it was probably nerves that got the best of me. But I'm making the effort to get both Berserkers' health down as much as possible so I don't have to deal with the Super Agni or Rudra situation. Or perhaps a Super Dreki is a better, more appropriate reference. This was a difficult one, and I'm close to finishing these Berserkers, and I'll do my own rundown of the menus, showing my lack of upgrades and skills and verification of all difficulties. But, if you will, join me next week for the 8th iteration of Basic Berserker Blueprints, where I take a stroll in Alfheim and battle the Berserker trio of Spidbadagger and the Sisters of Ilska. Spidbadagger, and the Sisters of Ilska. Spidbadagger. Maybe I'll work on the pronunciation in a little bit. Until then, we'll see ya.
We pay the king a visit and give him more of the same.
We have seen this before. Revenge will not bring you peace.
Is it revenge if justice is served?
That is a question you must answer for yourself.